What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down why next week is going to be very important for the share prices as we see a potential inverse head and shoulders like structure developing on Tesla. But in order for this to play out, we need to see some levels break. Let me just say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just want to say that we got a very nice close on SPY, the QQQ, and the others. We started off just shopping for almost the entire day. And during the last couple of hours, we saw a bunch of buyers step in because President Trump made some big announcements. So, President Trump said that he's very optimistic that China is going to make a tariff deal. That is huge news. As you guys know, China is charging the US 125%, and the US is charging China 145%. This is huge, at least for tariffs. And despite the fact that President Trump wanted to postpone the majority of his tariffs by 90 days, right, on the majority of countries that did not retaliate. He did not want to include China in the beginning. This led to a lot of tensions. But now the thing about that is that tariffs are used for different negotiation tactics and different things like that. So it's possible that as the U.S. and China realize that these high tariffs are not the best of moves for either one of them, it makes more sense for them to try to come up with some kind of deal, come up with a trade deal as soon as possible to really alleviate the pain on both sides. I think there's a very good chance it could be coming, especially because President Trump is saying he's very optimistic. He said that a deal could be coming very, very soon and that it's very important. He also mentioned that he has a very good relationship with President Xi and China, and that they are once again going to improve the situation. And then he repeated many times that we're going to be making a big deal. So he's saying a big deal is coming. He also mentioned that there's going to be a very, very big transition in the economy when it comes to making more trade deals with different countries. And he's going on about how he's going to be making this deal. So President Trump is optimistic. He's excited. He's saying it's going to be coming and that everything is going to be okay. That's what President Trump has said. That's pretty much it from him. I haven't heard way too much other things about the tariffs since what I talked about from yesterday. But with that being said, that's big, big, big news. If he starts talking about this deal, or if they come up with a deal during the weekend or next week, that could help the stock market bounce like crazy. So make sure you're prepared for this because US consumers are affected by this, and so are small businesses, not to mention many of these big tech companies. When you're looking at like companies like Amazon, if you look at Nvda, if you look at Apple, they're going to be seeing some interesting volatility. Tesla as well. So keep that in mind. So when these big tech stocks start running, if they do start running with, if this deal comes, that's going to really help our ETFs, and the market's going to see some alleviation from the pain we saw from a couple of weeks ago for a temporary move up. So, anyways, when it comes to other pieces of news heading into next week, just know that it's going to be a very short trading week because the market's going to be closed for Good Friday. There's no trading on Friday for the Good Friday / Easter weekend. But we just have 4 days of trading next week. On Monday, we have consumer inflationary expectations and a bunch of Fed speakers. On Tuesday, we also have minor data coming out involving exports and import prices. On Wednesday, we have retail sales and then manufacturing numbers. That's going to be important as well. And then we also have on Thursday, very important data coming out when it comes to the Philly Fed. So we'll see what that leads to. I think we also have, and I forgot to mention, Jerome Powell's giving a speech on Wednesday. I forgot to mention that. So the biggest thing would be Jerome Powell's speech on Wednesday, then Thursdays when we just have like data from the Philly Fed and very minor data from that point on. So much of the data is quite minor, except for Jerome Powell's speech and a couple of things like that. Next week is going to be a bit more quiet because of the weekend. On top of this, keep in mind that we have big bank earnings again. We have Goldman Sachs announcing their earnings. We have First Bank announcing their earnings. We have Bank of America and Citi, PNC, and then United also announcing earnings on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have ASML and then minor earnings, at least after that. And finally, for Thursday, we have TSMC, very important for semiconductors and such, not to mention Netflix. Netflix is going to be a big one, so get ready for that on Thursday. So I think that's going to kick off big tech earnings the week after next week, so get ready for that as well. So that's what's happening so much. That's what's happening going into next week as we have so much data coming out, at least from the earnings side of things. So earnings will be very, very significant. Besides that, we have the fear and greed index becoming less fearful than before to some extent. Momentum is starting to go up a little bit, and we're seeing the puts call option ratio dipping a bit, so that's a good sign. The VIX is also slowing down to some extent. So what do I see for the charts? We're going to start off with the one and only Tesla stock. The good news for Tesla is that this looks like an inverse head and shoulders. There's like a left shoulder here, a head, and then a right shoulder. But the bad news would be the fact that we haven't really gotten the breakout yet, so we're not ready to see a breakout. In order for this to happen, it's very simple, really. If Tesla's bearish next week, you want to see us lose 240. If 240 does not hold, Tesla will be dipping back down to this imbalance around 230. And if we're bullish, you need to see us break and hold above 226. If that's the case, we're looking for an attempt to push back up towards the 265 plus area. And then we could also come up to where this gap is, taking us up to like 270. So there's upside potential. When you zoom out of the chart like this, what you'll see is that this is resembling, okay, a very, very clean looking left shoulder. This is kind of like a head with the double bottom. And then this could be kind of like a right shoulder if we get the bounce and a break above 260. If you hold 260, we could be looking for an attempt to push back up to this resistance at the very least, or even higher than that for 290. So we could be looking for some kind of bounce move next week. I'm not saying it's going to last forever. This is just a temporary push because in the future, we could still dump back down like this if we get some bad news. But for now, it's looking like we're making a move like this as the most likely possibility. So watch your levels just to be safe. If we get that deal with China, we're looking pretty good. And there's a good chance we could be looking for a bounce. It looks a bit more probable. It's not just because of Tesla, but notice that when you look at the overall market, okay, the market was green on Wednesday after President Trump announced the pause for 90 days on the tariffs. Then on Thursday, the whole market dumped. Then on Friday, the whole market started to see consolidation before we saw some buyers step in. My point is the market's moving very similar, right? The large majority of stocks are in the green right now. Tesla, SPY, the majority of tech stocks are in the green, and they're moving in a very similar fashion because of these overall algorithms. So from what I see, looking at SPY, we also have a cup and handle. We have this like double bottom like structure, and this is also forming a cup and handle as well. Now, if we're bearish, you want to see us essentially lose support over here at 515. If that fails us, then yes, I could see this dump back down towards the low 500s. But as long as we hold this blue trend line, we're looking more bullish and we're favoring a push for 555 to fill our gap, if not the 560 area, which is where the 200 EMA happens to be. This looks more probable now because President Trump is optimistic about the China deal, and that's very, very big news. It's going to be affecting hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods that are going to be traded. So keep that in mind, guys. It's a massive, massive, massive deal. We have a gap to fill at 555. So as long as we continue, we're looking bullish. We're looking good for next week, at least for now on the chart. Looking at the triple Q, it's a very similar setup. So if you look at our 4-hour time frame, we also have a cup and handle like structure now, a double bottom, and we're trying to make higher lows. As long as we continue this trend, we're bullish. If we lose 440, this could be dipping back down to the lower levels. But as long as we don't lose 440, we're looking a lot better. So, we have this double bottom here, and as long as we don't lose 440, we're continuing to uptrend. I think we easily push for 466, if not 478, if that breaks. So we have some more upside potential. For the IWM, we also have a nice looking balance right over here. If we end up losing 178, we're looking for a dip to 175. As long as we're above 182, we're looking for a push for 188. We have a nice double bottom, so we're looking optimistic for essentially 188. I think we're doing a good job thus far. For ES, we have a double bottom as well. If we end up breaking past 5480, we're looking for an attempt to push for 5600. If we end up losing 5300, we're looking for a dump back down to 5150. So looking at this, we have a very, very clear looking double bottom. And then, with this cup and handle structure, we're going to be looking for an attempt to push back up like this. So I think we're doing a fantastic job. For NQ, we have a very similar setup as well. We have a nice looking double bottom. And I think that as long as we hold this trend line, we're looking for an attempt to push back up to about 19,500. It's about 19,700. If we lose 18,250, we're looking for a dump, but I think we're looking bullish and we're doing a great job. For Bitcoin, we have a double bottom here. As long as we don't lose 81,000, I want to see it hold above 83,900 for confirmation. If we do that, I think we easily push for 86,000. Like I said about Tesla, inverse head and shoulders like pattern, right? We have that, once again, a left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder potentially forming, but we got to hold above 255 to 260. If we break that, we're looking for a bigger push. Nvidia is looking decent now. We also have an inverse head and shoulders. It's very simple looking. We're holding this blue trend line right here, and we're also above our EMAs. If we lose 105, we could be dipping on Nvidia, but as long as we're above that, we're favoring an upside move for about 115 to about 117. So we're still looking a bit more bullish. For Apple, we're looking bullish, inverse head and shoulders. I want to see us break 200. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt for 205. If we lose 192, we're looking for a dip back down, but overall, we're holding up. So we are favoring the 200s. For a few more, we have Coinbase. We have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders here. As long as we don't lose 167, we're looking for an attempt to push for basically 190. I just want to see us hold 167 at the very least, and we're looking quite good. For Amazon, we also have an inverse head and shoulders. We want to see us hold above 184. If that's the case, we're looking for an attempt for 190. If we end up losing 181, returning back down, I think as long as we're above 184, we're favoring 190 plus. Inverse head and shoulders like pattern. Meta is a little bit lackluster. I need to see it get back above 554 to bounce. If we do that next week, we're going to be looking better. There's no confirmation yet of that. It's a little bit weak, so we need to see it get back above that level. For Microsoft, I want to see us get back above 391. Looks optimistic as it's trying to fill this gap. We need to see 391 to break to go up to about 400. As long as we don't lose 380, it's looking a bit more bullish for 391 than 400 as our targets. For Google, / Alphabet, we have a left shoulder here, a head, and then a right shoulder. As long as we don't end up losing 155, we're looking for an attempt to actually push towards 160. If that breaks, I think there's potential for essentially 165. So we're doing a good job so far with the inverse head and shoulders. I think we're doing well. I also want to add that if you look at the VIX, we're looking weak now. We got this big rejection after President Trump announced he's optimistic about the Chinese deal. I'll keep you guys updated about it, by the way. So this is looking a little bit more bearish, or it could be forming a flag, but either way, even if that's a flag, we're still looking kind of weak. So I think the VIX dips towards 34.85. We need to see if that holds or not. If it doesn't hold, we easily dip for basically this 32 area. And if that breaks, then we have this gap to fill way down here. This gap is going to get filled, taking us all the way down to all the way down to like 25, if not below that. So that could be bearish. So that could be favoring the market's going to bounce more, but we need some confirmation first. So what is my view? Am I a bull? Am I a bear? Honestly, guys, my overall thesis is still quite neutral in terms of what the market's doing, because we don't know that if this bounce is going to be temporary, if it's going to be a bigger bounce. It depends on these tariffs and different factors like that. So you always want to be very adaptive, always be very open-minded. But for the short term, I am favoring bulls a little bit more for a temporary move up. I'm saying it's temporary. I'm not saying it's going to last forever, just a temporary push for now, and we'll see what it develops into from there. We're taking this one step at a time. So for now, we look temporarily bullish. That does not guarantee that the downside is done yet for the markets, at least for the longer term. Just for the short term, I see some upside looking a bit more probable. So we'll watch for confirmation going into next week, and we'll see how things end up going. I'll keep you guys updated in case we get some big announcements from President Trump and China. I can't promise I'm going to upload a video tomorrow. I'm going to be very busy, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but I will for sure. 100%. I'll be back on Sunday to give you guys another update, so keep that in mind. Anyways, I thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys for your attention, and I'll be back very soon by Sunday for sure. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see about that. Please have a good weekend. Enjoy what life has to offer, and peace out.